If a Minnesotan writes an article claiming or arguing that COVID-19 is a Chinese bioweapon that leaked from a lab in Wuhan, and someone reports that article to the Department of Human Rights, is that something that the Department of Human Rights should put in their bias registry under your bill?
That is bias motivated, and so that can be considered a bias incident.
They just admit it now. Free speech advocates are sounding the alarm as Minnesota lawmakers weigh a measure that would create what they call a thought crime database. Many call it that. A provision would allow people to report perceived bias-related speech like you just heard, including claims that COVID came from a Wuhan lab and possibly even praise for author J.K. Rowling. You can imagine what would count. Harry Niska is the Minnesota State Representative you saw calling out the bill. He joins us now. Representative, thank you very much for being here. So they really are interested in the name of equity or safety or really control. They want a thought crime database. And what would qualify? I mean, what wouldn't?
Absolutely. That's the big question. What wouldn't qualify? And I asked several questions in a very lengthy floor debate about this idea. They make very clear that they don't want to limit this to things that are crimes, that they want to include things that would be purely speech. And I asked questions even about things they advocate or things that they have said that are offensive to people on the other side of the aisle. And they don't seem to be concerned because I think they are confident that the bureaucrats at the Department of Human Rights are going to be on their side. And that should really be scary. It seems like they read 1984 as inspiration, not as warning, the far left activists that have taken charge of this state. And it's good to see it, Pete, by the way.
Good to see you, too.
From Minnesota.
Absolutely. They count on being in control, so they'll be the one deciding what speech is acceptable. Is something like this, does it have a possibility of actually passing and becoming law in Minnesota?
Unfortunately, yes, Pete, it does. Although the omnibus bill that it was part of, the exact same bill has not passed through both houses, so there has to be a conference committee. Both the House and the Senate have passed as part of their public, quote unquote, public safety and judiciary omnibus bills, language that has in it this speech surveillance database.
Harry, this is lunatic. I mean, so what about if you post something on Facebook about the election, or you post something about your thoughts on critical race theory, or your thoughts on books in libraries that are inappropriate? All of that could count for Minnesotans if the governor signs it, you're saying.
That's exactly what the debate on the House floor demonstrated. Wow. Yes, wow. Minnesota really is a cautionary tale for the rest of the country about what you do, what happens when you give these extreme leftists even just narrow control in a purple state. They're going to move very, very quickly to try to consolidate control by controlling the marketplace of ideas, by stifling First Amendment rights, by trying to punish their enemies and reward their friends.
Their ideas.
It's
one other topic,
ideas,
real quick.
Exactly.
I want to get to teachers. This is another staggering development in Minnesota. Due to a new rule, teachers' licenses, if you want to become a teacher in Minnesota, you're required to push critical race theory and supporting trans identity. Here's part of the new Standards of Effective Practice from the Minnesota Educator Licensing Board. Every teacher has to demonstrate the ability to create opportunities for students to learn about power, privilege, intersectionality, and systemic oppression. Harry, are you hearing from teachers on this? I mean, what if you have a different view on these topics and you want to become a teacher in Minnesota?
Yeah, we're hearing from teachers and from the schools that try to educate teachers. This is going to definitely exclude good teachers from the classroom at the time where we should really be focused on educating kids and not indoctrinating kids. But again, it's part of the same effort to control the marketplace of ideas in order to consolidate power. We have half of our kids in the state of Minnesota can't read at grade level, but this is the focus of our education policy of the Walz administration and their activist friends in the legislature and outside of the legislature. We're pushing good teachers out. We're focusing on indoctrination instead of teaching kids how to read.
Absolutely right.
And do math and how to catch up on what kids have lost.
Yeah, they don't want a marketplace of ideas,
especially.
As you know, I mean, they want a monopoly on ideas. Our ideas only. The rest of you sit down. Thankfully, someone like you is standing up and fighting. Representative Harry Niska, really appreciate your time. Good to see you.
Thank you.
You got it.